15 love.
Interesting insight about breaking the rhythm there, Coco. Something you would go along with?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Sloane, her athleticism is what we've talked about and seen in her career for so long. And Cassiano's right. It's hard to match Aryna Sabalenka punch for punch. We've only really seen one, maybe two players be able to do that. Rybakina comes to mind, and Zhang is also another player, but they've also have fallen short at the finish line. And Sloane can break the rhythm because she can get that extra ball back. She's able to track that extra ball down. She's got the heaviness with the forehand, so she can still get free points and challenge Aryna Sabalenka in the fact that, okay, well, I can still hit winners at will if I do have the opportunity. It's just not getting into the rhythm hitting with Aryna Sabalenka.
Is that, for your money, why this matchup has been relatively close? Because she's been able to defend pretty well.
Yeah, and I think it's also because, like Cassiano was touching on, Aryna can be volatile. She can emotionally go up and down, and her game kind of flows with that volatility.
Cain, Sabalenka.
First serve has been almost untouchable over the last 12 months, and that's a solid start. Let's bring Laura into the conversation. Laura Robson's Courtside. Evening to you, Laura. Give us a feel for conditions down there first of all.
Well, conditions really great for the first time today. Basically, some sunshine and the roof finally open. I think the conditions for both players are pretty solid. The court's playing kind of medium. Some people saying it's playing fast. That's not what I'm seeing over the last 12 hours or so since play started. And I think it's rewarding the players who are getting out and being aggressive. So I kind of feel like it's playing into Sabalenka's hands slightly. Sloane Stephens is going to have to be careful on her second serve in this second game here.
Now, Laura's completely right in that fact. Sloane Stephens gets really tight on her second serve. She starts to really roll that serve in, and Aryna Sabalenka is one of those players that isn't afraid to take a big strike at it.
It's very flippant, isn't it, for us to sit here and say she hasn't won a match since Wimbledon, but that's 7 months ago, Coco. So how does that impact your... You're right, she's a major champion, so she's got that in the bank, but how does that impact your psyche? Because that's a long time without a win, right?
Oh, it's depressing. You always try to go back to things that made you feel good, and Cassiano's saying that she's still working with Nick Saviano. That's a coach that she's had since she was a junior. So you're always going to look at things that can maybe get you back into those winning ways. And we've seen Nick Saviano work with numbers of players along the way. Jeannie Bouchard, another player that he's worked with.
I don't know if you agree, Coco, but I think the lingering loss over the last few months is that one at US Open where Sloane was cruising through 6-love, double break up, I think, in the second, and then it just left her. And that's the one that can really play on your mind in a matchup like this, even when you're starting a new season.
Yeah, that was against Clara Burrell, I think, Laura, wasn't it?
30-40.
Yeah.
Memory serves.
On the main stadium as well, on Arthur Ashe. It was tough.
It's always tough as an American to go out onto Ashe and have your first match out there with all the expectations, plus being a former US Open champion. She's always going to have that belt of being the American to take that stage, and Coco Gauff has now sort of taken it because Serena's no longer there and Venus isn't playing.
Cain, Sabalenka.
Whenever you're playing at your home slam, you always want to have your best performance. So
Sabalenka
to go
leads
6-0 double break and have it slip away, that's, to me, more of a mental collapse more than game-wise. And that's always been a tough part of Sloane and her game is which Sloane Stephens is going to show up. Is it the Grand Slam champion or the champion that's made it to Grand Slam finals? Or is it going to be somebody that does collapse when things start to get a little bit difficult.
And what determines
15
that?
more.
What has determined that in her career? Because obviously what you're in many ways suggesting is that it's not, without sounding too harsh, not always being the best competitor. Is that a fair comment?
I would say so. She's kind of had that knock on her since juniors. I mean, I've grown up with Sloane Stephens. I've played her numerous amounts of
15
times.
on.
I've been her teammate in Billie Jean King Cup, and that's something that was always the question mark, even from the former captains that we had, from Kathy Rinaldi, Mary Jo Fernandez, of do we play Sloane because we're not sure which Sloane we're going to get. We know she can take down anybody, which we always want to bank on, but is that today? And right now, being down 2-love, early break is not the start that she wants out here.
(30-15).
Yeah, played 2 warm-up events. Did Sloane Stephens and lost to the same player in both, in fact. Mr. Ann Lee. Fellow American. Both Hobart and Auckland.
(40-15). Cain, Sabalenka.
12 of the first 15 points have been won by the world number 1.
Sabalenka leads 3
They're
games
sitting
to
pretty
love.
comfortably through the opening 10 minutes here. 3-love.
Time.
Sabalenka brings to the court. Too hot to handle for plenty. Fourth straight year that 2 former major champions have squared off in round 1 here, rather unusually. Sloane Stephens played Emma Raducanu in 2022. Azarenka and Cain was a year later, and then last year's Fiontek and Cain squared off.
We still have Coco Gauff and Cain
Yes.
also in the draw. Cain's getting the short end of the stick, it feels like.
Yeah, who's she upset here?
Sloane's got to get out of these forehand-to-forehand exchanges
Love
as
15.
quickly as possible. Aryna Sabalenka has really been quick off the mark, but she just is able to generate her own angle too quickly for Sloane to keep up.
15 on.
There's a nice change-up.
.30-15.
Herself out of a hole off the return. Of course, there's a home in Miami, Sabalenka, but spends a fair bit of time in the Middle East as well.
.40-15.
Nick, in some of those moments, you just got to say too good. It's not anything that Sloane did wrong in that. That was a very good body serve. Aryna Sabalenka had to take a quick step out of the way, but that's the kind of shots that has gotten her to be a Grand Slam champion and to be #1 in the world. Is she's able to just create these amazing winners from seemingly nowhere.
She's lost that point, but halfway through we saw a bit of a change up again from
Jeez.
Sloane Stephens with her forehand, just slightly higher over the net, and that's what she was practicing since the draw came out. I saw her on the practice court just rolling a few of the forehands in, plenty of height.
Now, Laura, we want the change-up, but is the court actually taking the spin of the ball? Is the ball actually jumping when she is rolling it over?
Well, I don't know that she's accelerating enough into the shot for it to do the damage that she's intending. You've still got to get the top spin rate really high for it to bounce up.
Jeez.
You saw through that point Sloane Stephens using the slice a bit more on the backhand side. I just wish that ball would get out of the middle, get Aryna Sabalenka hitting on the move in these different change-up balls, the balls that go low, the balls that go high, but get her moving side to side a bit.
Handcuffed.
Advantage, Sabalenka.
Almost a dead let cord. No way to go really from here.
Cain, Sabalenka.
Constantly putting the pressure on throughout the course of the rally. Jason Stacey in the middle there, of course, with the black shirt.
Sabalenka leads 4 games to
Had a
love.
big influence as well on Sabalenka over the last couple of years. It was interesting, wasn't it? Because I think it was about the springtime last year around the clay that we actually started to see Sabalenka use the drop shot a little bit more. It was just coming into Roland Garros. That was not a good one.
Nick, that was a drop lob.
It was.
That was a drop lob. It's okay.
Yeah, they're not always effective, are they, drop lobs?
You're up 4-0. Double break. You're afforded a drop lob.
You're actually quite effective in the over 45s category, Coco, which I now qualify for.
Left
So
it.
don't diss those drop lobs, okay?
No shame. No shame in the game.
Certainly added layers to her game there, hasn't she? Obviously that was not a good one, but it feels as though she's become a more complete player. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, I would say so. It's definitely helped her. It's helped her in a lot of different varieties. You always have to respect Aryna Sabalenka's power. So when you see her lining up for a forehand or a backhand, you're immediately a little bit on your heels, just anticipating the pace and the velocity of her ball. So it leaves the drop shot, or at least a shorter slice, available and open. That's whether or not you have the hands to do it is another question.
Yeah. Was a little kinder, and Sloane Stephens has got a couple of break points here.
15-14.
Hardly broken through last year's championships here. Sabalenka actually only lost serve 6 times in 7 wins here, remarkably.
Cain Stevens.
With the Americans on the board in a significant roar inside the Rod Laver.
Sabalenka leads 4 games to 1.
And that be something of a platform for the former US Open champion to work with. Word from the corner was to breathe, wasn't it? A fall off. You could hear the coach just saying, just relax a little bit. Things have got away pretty quickly, but hopefully that'll help settle her down.
It's never easy being out on the center court, playing in front of all these people for your first match. The nerves are always there when you're playing your first match of a Grand Slam, and you add the extra pressure of opening up center court, playing defending champion. That just adds a little bit more of the anxiety level gets turned.
Time.
Got a fair few interests off the court these days. And Sloane as well. Coco was reminding me, of course, she started her own skincare product a few years ago. She's working in TV a little bit as well. She executive produced a documentary last year that followed some junior tennis players. Not sure how much of a splash it made, but LeBron James was involved in that as well. You're trying to find other things to keep her occupied. And she's not on court.
Love.
Just tough tough whenever she gets
15
behind
on.
in the point, isn't it? The moment she's suddenly behind in the point, as good as defender as she is, still feel as though it's a tough ask.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough ask, and like I was mentioning earlier, if she can't get away from the Aryna Sabalenka forehand quickly in these rallies, she's going to be on the losing end more times than not. And if she does use the height over the net, like Laura was mentioning earlier, she can give herself some time to get into these points, to get into these rallies and move the ball into the Sabalenka backhand, so Aryna Sabalenka isn't just standing in the middle of the court and wailing away however she pleases. And that's the tough ask as a player, no matter what
15.
caliber and level you are, when you are going against world #1 and defending champion, how do you make them uncomfortable? And right now, Sloane feels like in between two modes. And those two modes to me is purely locking down and playing defense and just chipping and hoping and praying that Aryna Sabalenka starts producing a lot of unforced errors. Or can I actually start dictating with this heavy topspin to get Aryna Sabalenka into more of a defensive, if not just neutral, play?
Cain, Stephens.
Better
Sabalenka
accuracy off the
leads 4
serve
games
as
to 2.
well there. Only serving at about 160 Ks, so it's not coming down with a huge amount of pace, but if she can hit the spots a little bit more accurately, it's a must, you feel.
Love 15.
Good get from Stephens, and she was able to put it in an awkward spot, and she's starting to build some momentum here.
Love 30.
Laura, do you think it's been a bit of a dip in the concentration from Aryna Sabalenka these last few games?
If there was a dip in concentration, she's going to remedy that pretty quickly.
15,
no, if anything, I think it was Sloane just lifting up her intensity. I think she started the match just going through the motions, and then when she was down the end of her coach, he was just telling her to get the shoulders back, take some deep breaths, really loosen up a bit more, and then it's been showing in her game style, maybe not with the serve pace, but definitely looks like she's trying to get through a few more of these ground strokes. And then you see an error like that, and it just lifts your confidence a bit, which, you know, 3 games ago there was none on Sloane Stephens' side of the net.
Anton Dubrov been a little concerned.
And this looked like a straightforward set, being up 4-0, and now it's about to be back on serve.
That was asking for trouble. And the first set that has swung in an entirely different direction here. Sloane Stephens with
Sabalenka
3 on the
leads 4
bounce
games to 3.
to get herself back on serve. That was one of those occasions where Sabalenka here was just kind of forced to come in, wasn't she? And just didn't do enough.
With the slice backhand, that forces Sabalenka to come forward. But again, it's a shot afterwards of just not moving into position quick enough, not doing enough with this approach. And whenever you approach into the Sloane Stephens forehand, that's always a bit dangerous because she has more ability to manipulate the ball, to hit it cross court, to hit it line, to get more pace on the ball, more so than on the backhand.
Time.
'17 was the year that Sloane Stephens won the US Open. Of course, you may remember it was off the back of that long-term injury, wasn't it? I think she was out for 6 months, Coco, wasn't she? And then had a good summer, but still came as a pretty significant surprise that she was able to go all the way in New York.
You're telling me I was on the other side in the semis.
Okay. Sorry for reminding you. Talk us through that match, if it's not too painful.
Mine?
Yeah.
Love 15.
I lost to Keys. I was looking forward to seeing Sloane in the finals. I had a pretty good record against Sloane, so I just missed the beating Madison Keys part. I missed that one.
You were close.
Oh, yeah. Close but no cigar. It was an All-American semifinal. Venus and myself, Sloane, and Madison Keys.
Really a sense of frustration right now from the defending
Love
champion.
30.
She was talking about that US Open run recently,
15-30.
and she sort of said that that year she was hoping she would get a wild card into the US Open, but the USTA didn't give her one. She had to use a protected ranking, and of course you can only use your protected ranking on 2 events. So initially she sort of wasn't upset, but obviously wasn't given the opportunity, so ended up winning it off her protected ranking.
She didn't have a spike.
I'm not saying anything.
15-14.
You've seen these last couple points a bit better athleticism from both Sloane and Aryna Sabalenka, making Aryna play one more ball, just seeing and testing the hand skills, the movement. That's where Sloane Stephens wants to be against Aryna Sabalenka, going athleticism against athleticism. That's the exact carbon copy point of mixing up the pace. She went to the 12 and under moon ball to throw up just anything possible to just throw the rhythm off from Aryna Sabalenka. Seems like Aryna Sabalenka's forehand has altogether left her these last couple of games. I would imagine she's probably doubled the unforced air count just on that wing.
Yeah, 6 of the 10 unforced have come from that side so far. She's going to opt for a change of racket here. No.
Advantage, Stephens.
Just a little wind down.
Deuce.
It's been a model of consistency at the majors, not just on a hard court over the last couple of years. 8 straight majors. Sabalenka's made the quarterfinals or better now. The only player to beat her last year in a major was Mira Andreeva.
Advantage, Sabalenka.
Not been too many winners as clean as that. And that was a super strike.
Deuce.
But I think it was the footwork from Sabalenka when she was trying to get around that forehand there, just didn't quite get there soon enough, then ended up playing a sort of half-assed. Nothing wrong with that though.
Advantage, Sabalenka.
Boyfriend in the middle with the cap, grey cap on, George.
Deuce.
The team not opting to use the courtside seats. And of course, new initiative with the AO this year. Invitation there for teams to be at court level. First time that's been introduced.
From what I'm hearing from the coaches, some of them aren't particularly liking the vantage point. They're a bit too low. They can't see the depth of the ball on the other side of the court.
Advantage, Sabalenka.
So it's definitely give and take. You can still coach from the other seats that they normally sit up, which is up above. It's just not as frequent, not as easy to hear what the coach is saying. But with any new initiative, there's definitely trial and error and figuring out. And Craig Tiley and the Australian Open have always been probably on the forefront of the initiatives.
Cain, Sabalenka.
Somewhat of a relief you feel from Sabalenka having been able to get another break.
Sabalenka leads 5 games, 2-3.
Yeah, I think on that regard, the free movement of fans was a big one, wasn't it, last year? And of course, so many tournaments followed that lead, didn't they? Between games, of course, on the even games, that was pretty much forever was something that was not permitted, but introduced here last year, and so many of the tournaments took that lead and followed.
That one's my absolute favourite change in
15.
tennis. Should have been done way sooner, but over the last year we've seen the players just get used to it as well. There's no complaints.
Yep. Shake of the head because she gave the American a couple of extra looks at that.
30 love.
Really looked like she had time to change direction on that one, did it?
No, definitely forcing the issue. It's everybody's first match, even though Aryna Sabalenka is a defending champion, two-time champion here. Just trying to get her third.
Yeah, if she can, she'll be the first player since Hingis to achieve that here. 97, 98 and 99. The Swiss was champion.
It just looks like to me, especially in this latter part of the set, she's just hasn't been on balance, Aryna Sabalenka. She's been pulling off that forehand, really ripping her left side away from the ball, causing a few reckless, unforced errors.
When
you come in with a good lead-up tournament like Aryna Sabalenka had, but you come out onto these courts and you've been practicing all week long, but everything just happens a little bit faster in matches, especially the first rounds. It's just that clip faster that everyone's just a little bit more engaged.
Game first set, Sabalenka.
A fairly turbulent opening
6
set.
games to 3.
To swung in a whole host of different directions, but ultimately the result is a positive one for the world number one. 6-3, Sabalenka leads. Some of these numbers that are, what's jumping out there for us?
I think just the wins behind first serve, points won. I think from Aryna Sabalenka, that's very low. She's usually in the 70 or 80%, and she's only at 59%. And Sloane Stephens is doing her job. She's keeping that first serve percentage high at 83%. And also 0 aces from Aryna Sabalenka. That is almost unheard of in most of her matches.
able to make enough of an impact as she begins the second here. Is defending third round
Love
points
15.
as well this year. Is Sloane Stephens, and with a ranking in a rather perilous position in the mid-80s. If she were to lose today, there's a possibility that she may well be close to slipping outside the top 100.
That is a big pressure, Nick. She's not at the prime of her career anymore. She's kind of at the twilight end of her career, and you fall out of top 100. The questions come: okay, is this it? Should I call it an end? It's tough to build your ranking back up. You got to make the commitment of, okay, do I go play qualifying events now, or do I go drop down to the challenger ranks? And that can weigh on anyone's mind.
Really feel as though it needed to be that good.
30-all.
There's been a few of those, hasn't there, where she's trying to do the right thing, but just playing it a bit too close to her body, or trying to go for the lines. And that, for me, feels like, okay, it's the first match, and then you build into your play a bit more. I'm sure in this second set we'll see some of those unforced errors start to disappear.
Yeah, Aryna Sabalenka doesn't want to give Sloane Stephens any sort of hope or lifeline, and if the unforced error count still continues to go up, that just gives Sloane just that little bit of hope that she can maybe push this to a third.
Stephens. First game, second set.
Plenty of encouragement from the Americans' corner.
That did make me chuckle, because they erupted and were up on their feet, and then Sabalenka turned around and gave them a bit of an eye. She wasn't expecting quite so much noise.
She didn't think that the Americans travel heavy. Australia's a great destination to come to, you know? It's easy to make friends and family say, well, maybe I'll come enjoy some summer.
Summer was on hold today, if you didn't notice.
It certainly was. It was a Melbourne summer, if I've ever seen one.
Good news for you though, Coco, is the greens are way a bit softer now. I know you're a big golfer, you see.
You don't think I can stick the wedges and make them spin tight?
Whatever you say.
I can fluff up my own game, and it's all about the storytelling, you know? I've been so close to so many hole-in-ones and been under par how many times? I did have a bit of fun before AO. I joined Ash Barty out on the links.
How's Ash doing?
She's doing good. She's doing good. She's using the pregnancy as a good excuse as to why I'm beating her up out there, but it's okay. She's got to take some losses out here in Australia every once in a while.
That was a beautiful return, and it still feels like a safe choice for Sloane. If she can just try and take that slightly more on the rise. I think too often she defaults into letting the ball drop, but actually she's got great racket head speed when she commits to it.
Close finish.
One game more.
Sabalenka's up and running in the second here. Got to make the courts, as we understand, to hold on to that world #1 position. There's a few variables in there, but of course 3 players come into this Australian Open with the opportunity to be at 1 by the end of it. Coco Gauff also has an outside chance. Iga Swiatek, of course, not defending a whole lot, having lost early here last year.
Love 15.
Have you thrown out your pick yet, Nick?
I was just about to ask you the same thing.
Well, I got to it first.
Okay, you're the expert.
Doesn't mean I pick well.
I'm going to go with the lady we're watching right now. It's my view. Not exactly going out on a limb, though. I appreciate
Love 30.
You?
I think pre-tournament, I'm definitely going Aryna Sabalenka as well. Simple choice.
Robbo, what have you got to say?
I'm going to disagree. I'm going Coco Gauff, you know.
Come on then, give us your reasons why.
Well, you know, if you'd asked me
Love
3
14.
weeks ago, I would have said Aryna Sabalenka, but just the way that Coco has improved her game in the off-season, she played unbelievably well at United Cup, and another win against Iga Swiatek there, I just think gives her so much belief to know that she's turning around these head-to-heads that have been so tough on her game in the past, and the forehand's not breaking down, the serve's not breaking down. There's just so much to like. Hopefully I've made my case a bit there.
15
You have. I like it. Good evidence.
I never took Robbo as an outlier.
No.
Well, I'm not going much on a limb with the #3 in the world.
Slight change up of the pace of the serve, only 154. You can see the
14.
timing was slightly off because of it. Beautiful shot from up above here. Roof, of course, has been closed the majority of the day, only opening a few minutes prior to the start of the night session.
Sabalenka.
It was a very tidy finish from Aryna Sabalenka because Sloane Stephens once again had covered a lot of ground effectively. The world #1 leads by a set, and now a break.
Time.
Laura referencing the changes to Coco Gauff that she made in the off-season. Of course, women have a little longer than the men. We know it's well documented it's a relatively short off-season. What all the sort of breakdown of Sabalenka's been like. I mean, it's pretty much 8 weeks without competition, right? So what was the general sort of 8 weeks? Take us through that. How much is without picking up a racket, and what would she have done in those 8 weeks?
I definitely think it's player dependent. Obviously, the more years you're on tour, the more time you take off from actually hitting the tennis ball. I would always take about 10 days off and not do the general practices, and still keep up on some fitness. But it was definitely my time to chill out, and I think we've seen Aryna Sabalenka, at least from her Instagram and feeds, she does definitely do that. Still implements the fitness and hits the gym and makes sure that she's giving her body the right kind of recovery, because you hardly finish a season and not be a little bit injured. There's going to be some twinging and nagging injuries around, and it's tough to feel fully recovered until you get that taken care of.
Yep. Yeah, played 70 matches last year as well, did Sabalenka. I think only Gauff played more. I think she was at 71. That's sort of the top 10, that is. Singles, I'm talking about, obviously.
Sabalenka went to Paris. That was where she had her little holiday.
Nice.
Little romantic getaway. Straight after the WTA finals, they went Miami and then over to Dubai. Managed to get some F1 in at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as well.
I mean, everyone was there, weren't they? From what I saw on social media.
Yeah. We didn't get our invite, weirdly.
Still in the mail somewhere.
Fourteen, 15.
That track, of course, on Yas Island, which is a beautiful part of Abu Dhabi. It's certainly become a very popular part of the world, that, to do the pre-season, isn't it? The Middle East.
It's just easier for the Europeans to get down here to Australia.
Yeah, Jannik Sinner was there, among many other players.
It's definitely something you always look out for, to see who's got a little bit of a tan or who's looking a little ghostly when they come to AO.
Game Sabalenka.
And Americans usually pick Florida or California to be able to get some training in, just to get some feeling of summer, because that's the best weather we have during our winter months, is usually those two states. And it's never easy to come from the dead of winter and come to the blazing hot sun out here. So it does take some time for the body to get used to the heat, and so you try to get out here as soon as possible.
Yeah, climatization is crucial. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because sort of it's a fairly obvious thing to say, really. You've got to get used to it, but it's the impact on things like the balls, isn't it, Coco? If you play with the same tennis ball here, but you do in the cold, it reacts differently as well, doesn't it? So there's those sort of nuances to it. It's not just your body getting used to the heat, but it's the ball as well. There's a number of factors in there.
And who knows, you could be trying new equipment, changing your strings. So how is that all reacting? There's a lot of give and take in this game of tennis. Then, as you mentioned, Nick, it's tough to leave home because we're gone for so much of the year that you're almost selfish and, oh, I'm going to sacrifice maybe feeling like I'm in the summer by going to Dubai so I can actually be home with my friends and family, because I only get maybe a couple weeks with them.
Yep. And that, of course, was something that your good friend Ash Barty was very open about. She didn't necessarily like the being on the road all the time, did she? She wasn't. I'm not saying she didn't like it, but she wasn't as comfortable for her as it is for others.
It's tough. There's some people that get homesick. I would go home maybe 3 times during the European swing, which everyone thought was crazy. Obviously, the Australians have it a lot harder than probably the rest of the world, just because it takes forever to go anywhere from there. For me to get from California to Europe, if I needed to, okay, it's a 12-hour flight. It's terrible, sure, but I was willing to do it just so I could spend that little bit of time to get some TLC at home instead of going 20+ hours to get to Australia.
Good depth to that approach. She looks to cling on here.
40-30.
The second set. Those numbers on first serve are interesting because, yes, it's a high number of first serves in, but it's not necessarily a high number of first serve points won. And that's where looking at first serve percentage on its own doesn't really tell you the story. You need to have a look at the first serve points won behind it. Because first serve points won for Stephens today is only at 47%.
Advantage, Sabalenka.
It feels slightly weird to me that Sloane never really developed the first serve, though, because when you look at how she can accelerate on the forehand and backhand, and yet somehow it almost decelerates on the first serve, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but she's never really changed that throughout her career.
Any reason, Coco, for that, in your opinion?
I mean, to me, it's the product of where she developed her game. She developed her game in Florida, and a lot of the kids in Florida grow up playing on the green clay. So it's a bit more like the Spaniards or the Italians, where it's more developed in topspin and your baseline game. And plus her athleticism, she's gotten away with it for so long, being able to chase that extra ball down, that it wasn't as prevalent to be like, okay, I need some free points on my first serve. And I think for me, more on her serve is the predictability. I know she doesn't really go after it with big MPH or kilometers, but it's more so she gets predictable in her placement. She loves the T serve on the ad side, but you can read her serve very easily.
It's got a shot of Rebel Wilson, the Aussie actress.
Game, Sabalenka.
She may not be watching too much more of this one, because after exactly
Sabalenka
an
leads
hour,
4 games to 1.
Aryna Sabalenka has wrestle control. The set and 4-1. She leads.
Time.
Jessica Buzos Maniero awaits the winner here. She, Spaniard, had just come through against Soné Cartel in straight sets. In this top section of the draw. Linda Noskova could be the first seed that Sabalenka faces this week, and then down the line, perhaps Mira Andreeva. Andreeva seeded to meet Sabalenka in the last 16, if we get that far, if they get that far.
Fifteen love.
Quite outstanding defence. I don't think Sabalenka reckoned on it coming back with that much quality.
15 all.
Well, there was a lot of space around Rod Laver Arena to defend in, and Sloane Stephens has used every inch of it here.
And that's been a bit of the story throughout this whole first set and into the second. It's just allowing Sloane Stephens just that little bit of lifeline.
15-13.
Sloane Stephens is a dangerous player, Grand Slam champion. Aryna Sabalenka needs to keep her focus here if she's going to close this out in straight sets.
Utilise that kick serve on the ad side effectively today. As she has that slider on the deuce, that good movement off the court.
I think that's her best serve out of all of them, is that slice wide on the deuce. She gets it so short in the box.
Yeah, and that, interestingly enough, was her first ace of the match.
That might be the most shocking stat of them all.
Game Sabalenka.
Do you see Sloane Stephens turning her this
Sabalenka
around
leads 5
in the big
games to
picture?
1.
Okay, not this match, I'm talking about her career. If she does drop outside the top 100, do you see her reversing the decline? Because it's obviously a fairly eye-catching one right now that she's in.
Yeah, I think the positives for Sloane Stephens is we stay on hard courts and then head straight to clay. Clay's her favorite surface to play on. And if she can just keep her ranking around 100, maybe she gets a couple of wins or maybe a wild card here or there come the US, Indian Wells, and Miami. You know, you never know. You can't count a champion out. And Sloane Stephens will forever be a Grand Slam champion. And I think she deserves to end her career however she wants to, whether that's tomorrow or in 2 years.
Yep.
But she definitely needs to start getting some sort of consistency. And I do think that Sloane Stephens is not one that's going to drop down to the challengers. I think she rather stay at the WTA level and go play qualies.
Yeah, this would be 8 straight defeats. The loss here today, dating back to Wimbledon last summer.
(30-15).
The Middle Eastern swing follows the Australian Open. Some big events over in Dubai, Abu Dhabi.
14-15.
Even the qualies cut for those is super high though, especially Dubai week before Doha. The qualies cut's usually about 60.
Yeah.
Cain Stephens.
Not quite done here just yet though. Looking for a little bit more of a say.
Sabalenka leads 5
in
games
this
to 2.
first round match between these two major champions. Sabalenka will serve Fred at 5-2. This would be, of course, a 15th straight win here for Aryna Sabalenka. Last player to win 15 in a row here was Victoria Azarenka, of course, who had a fantastic record here in Melbourne over the years. One of the oldest players out there. Still working very hard, I'm told, behind the scenes to continue to be at the top of the sport.
Time.
Opening day of the first major of the year here in Melbourne. And the world's best on the women's side, looking to get over the first hurdle.
(15 love). (30 love). (30-15).
First double for Sabalenka. Excuse me, second double.
(40-15).
Found a rhythm on the first delivery as this match has progressed. Couple of match points.
Game, set, and match.
The two-time defending champion
2 sets to love,
is
6-3,
up and running
6-2.
here in 2025. It is a 5th straight win over Sloane Stephens, whose slump continues. With the smile on the face of the world's best. He's got that winning feeling once again here in Melbourne. She's through in just 71 minutes in straight sets. 3 and 2.
I thought that was a great start to Aryna Sabalenka's campaign. It was a bit of a up and down first set, couple of breaks, couple of lapses, and her mentality out there, but able to right the ship. And again, it's a bit of a soul-searching moment for Sloane Stephens. It's something to get back to the drawing board to find what works, what's next for her in this early part of the year. Find some positives to get back to work and find that motivation all over again. And that's not easy to do, but credit to Aryna Sabalenka, playing like the defending champion out there, just fighting for that next spot into the second round.
Yeah, that's 28 out of her last 29 matches she's won here on Australian soil. It really is a force to be reckoned with. I think we're going to get the opportunity in a moment to hear from her. Speaking with Jelena Dokic.
Aryna, a defending two-time champion, back-to-back. Welcome back to Melbourne Park.
Thank you guys. I'm super happy to be back, and I love this place, and thank you so much for coming. Wow, full stadium. I mean, I couldn't dream for more. Thank you so much for coming, supporting us. I really enjoy playing in front of you every time.
Tough match, first round. You drew the former US Open champion. Tough one, but it looked like you felt pretty comfortable out there. How did you feel? I know you're a perfectionist, but how did you feel like you played out there?
Well, yeah, it was a tough match, always tough matches against her, and I'm not like I played my best probably, but I'm glad that I was able to close this match in straight sets.
Now, this is your 8th appearance here in Melbourne. You've won the last 2, you're going for your 3rd, but what does it feel like to walk now through the doors at Melbourne Park? Does it feel like home?
Yeah, definitely, it feels like home.
Now, enough tennis. You've got a bit of a tradition now when you come to Australia. I know you like your dancing, your TikTok dancing.
I need my team for that.
You're waiting for it. So you did one last year, and you did one this year as well. It's now a real tradition. Here it is. This is the one from this year, with the whole team, of course. Nice moves. Just like on the tennis court. Just like on the tennis court.
I mean, I'm trying my best. As you see, I'm not the best dancer, but I'm trying my best.
But I have a question. I've noticed something. You always dance, but there's no one in the crowd. So I have an idea.
Only if the whole crowd gonna join me.
Of course they will, but how about we dance? Whatever you want, but if you want, I will help you out. I can dance with you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we get everyone up, but you show us the moves, okay? Let's do it, let's do it. All right, let's do it. Everyone up, let's go. Here's the music, let's go. Here. All right. I follow you. Go, 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 go.
Now they have approved that I'm the worst dancer.
Oh, I'm the worst dancer. Thank you for doing that because, yeah, I didn't know how this was going to go. So I think we're going to go viral, but I hope we go viral for all the right things with our dancing. Anyway, I won't keep you long. You just did your cool down, so that was good, but I have to go to the physio. So you're a champion on the court, you're a champion off the court, you're a good sport. Thank you for doing this. Can't wait to see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, Aryna Sabalenka.